That'll have to be a Jimmy or Melissa question, I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Yeah,
I haven't
couldn't-
actually, looked at a plat of the property.
yeah, there's,
I don't think we've seen one yet.
I saw it now, it was all in green, saw that. Mr. Brown, hey. Okay, so, we've got.
I have this for you to sign. It's your statement of financial interest.
Okay. This is the rezone
It's already
first.
typed for you.
This is lot.
Look different than before.
Lot
Hello?
Hey, Mark, this is William. Can you hear me?
Are you at the
Yeah,
front
man, it's
door?
good. It's good to see you here, brother. I'm glad you made it.
Let us know.
Thank you.
Yeah, the front door's open. If not, I'll be watching for you.
Hey, how you
to
like
let
my
in.
groundhog?
Okay,
I see resemblance.
okay, okay.
Can't have it more, I just open it around and it comes out.
Yeah, I know. Jimmy, must have been a good report.
Sir?
Must have been a good report.
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
Congratulations.
yes.
Hey, Jimmy,
Hey,
how are you today?
great, great.
All right. What are we?
Mark, what come you zooming in?
That's fine. Jenny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, hey, like my screenshot. I was up at that, you remember when we had all that flooding going on? And Mississippi, the Arkansas
Is that-
River was out of the bank?
What kind of animal is
It's a
that?
groundhog. So I was at the Arkansas Game and Fish, that wildlife center.
Yeah.
And I went over to the glass and he was sitting outside just staring in the glass, and so I just reached down and took a picture of him. He's a little groundhog.
How cool is that?
Yeah. Alright, so we,
I got that. I'll notarize it for you.
You got everything?
Yep, I got you on file.
I know you do.
You're good for another year.
All right.
Put your mask on, Jimmy, please.
Stay away from y'all.
You're in trouble now, Jimmy.
Jimmy, I think
Mikey,
Jeff is coming to the front door.
Billy, Mark,
Jeff,
Dan
Twiggy.
Brown.
Need help?
Yeah, he's gotta get in.
I stuck a phone book down there in the doorway.
Oh, did you? Good.
Yeah, there's a phone book there in the door.
That's good thinking, good thinking.
What time do we have?
Well, all I'm
Oh,
waiting on,
Sure enough.
all I'm waiting on now is Vivian, but I hadn't heard from her. So I don't know what that means.
All right.
You expecting somebody else?
Vivian, I hadn't heard from her.
Do we need her? for
Greg's
quorum?
here, Greg's on the line.
Now, we have a quorum, but I'm just saying she's the only one I haven't heard from, and she's the only one still,
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
still out.
Hey, man.
You okay?
How you doing today?
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
All right,
And
guess we
to
just
you as
go ahead and
well.
get started.
Yeah.
All right, I'd like to call the January 11th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting to order. There are no really opening remarks because we don't have minutes for you guys to peruse while I open it up. So what I'd like to do at this time, just open with a prayer. Mike, you want to open us up?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and Father, we just thank you once again for all the many blessings that you bestow upon us. We just pray, Father, that as we come to this time where we can make decisions, Father, for the city of Jacksonville, that we would do it in accordance to your will and guidance, Father, doing what's right for all the citizens. and for the people that we represent. We pray, Father, for your help in all these matters. We know that you're in control, and we just lift all these up to you. We ask all these in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Good job. All right, let's just have roll call right now.
Councilmember Deeds,
Here.
Commissioner Montgomery,
Here.
Commissioner Hall,
Here.
Commissioner Moore,
Here.
Commissioner Brittenham, Commissioner Twitty,
Here.
Commissioner Brown,
Here.
Commissioner Boland,
Present.
Chairman Stroud.
Here.
I have one absent, sir.
All right, so we've got a quorum. We don't have minutes at this particular time. I imagine you ran out of ink to printing up that last, didn't you? So long. Trying not to have that tonight. We'll just dispense with the minutes till next time. The first item on the agenda for a public hearing will be rezoning. It'll be 7814 TP White. It's going from a C3 to a R1. Petitioner is JADD White Properties, represented by Bond Engineering. And I'm sure Aaron's going to be the one speaking to this. And do you have anything to tell us there, Aaron?
No, basically this property, we rezoned it a couple, year and a half, 2 years ago. And what's happened is the white house, the blue house, and the garage, someone is wanting to purchase that to actually live in as opposed to developing it for commercial. So we are just trying to rezone that portion back to residential.
All right, is this in contingency to the sale that they do this? I mean, it's not already purchased, right?
It is, I don't know if it's already purchased or not. I do know that this was part. The reason they're trying to get it rezoned back to R1 is in case something happened to the house and it burned or something, then they could not build back a residential building in a commercial. So that's kind of the reason they decided to go ahead and rezone it back to R1, or try to.
I have a letter as late as this afternoon from the owner, so we do have permission.
Okay, all right, great. So everything's good on that particular side. The way it's supposed to happen, it's rezoned before anything takes place. So, commissioners, you have any questions with the petitioner at this time? Any thoughts or comments? Okay, I'd entertain a motion about the rezoning issue before us. So, commissioners?
I move to approve.
Okay, got a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion second to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Aye.
All right, are there any opposed? Nope. Okay, so there's no opposed. All right, so that's carried. Item B on the agenda will be a conditional use, 1106 West Main, for a used car sales and auto repair in a C2 zone. It'll be a C3 use. A petitioner will be Rodolfo Garza, and what I want to do is give a little bit of history so we as commissioners know exactly what we're talking about and what we have to know, because this thing has been talked about almost ad nauseum, and we want to get it right. We want to make everything above board. So history, here's the history of this thing. The first plat, does anybody know the first plat? If the one closest to Main Street is plat 11, or is it plat number 8, the one next to Main Street? Does anybody happen to know? Okay, well,
Mark,
yeah.
you want to see this?
But that does not have it on there. Yeah, I've seen that part. I just don't know which, it's split off into 4 plats. Well, that's gonna really help us later on. The reason I'm saying all this is that's gonna help us later on, because we have a building already built on one plat, and we have 3 other plats that are incorporated into what we'll be talking about today. And reason we have a building it's already come up more than once, people talking about the building, and we as planners are not tied to buildings, we're tied to land and land uses. So I want to make it clear that what happened without the Planning Commission's approval, in years past, there was a building put there and a commercial venture put there that the Planning Commission has not approved. I want to make it clear too that the City Council has not approved this building there, because there's been a lot of talk about it's a C3 building. Well, there was a C3 business. Buildings are on things. And so with all of that said, there's been a little bit of confusion about, because there's a building there, the Planning Commission somehow should be leveraged. We are not to do that. We need to know that this has always been a C2 area, but it has a C3 business on it. So there are 4 plats that are now included in extending. They're extending from the Main Street area. They're extending toward the residential area. That's what we're talking about here tonight too. We also have been talked about from time to time that there's been flooding in the area. Already bad surface water flow from the development of Plat 1. And I've noticed Commissioner Ivy has recused himself, and will be able to testify to that also again. Our question is going to be, will it get worse or will it get better? We're always going to ask that. Ms. Garza has noted on many different occasions that there are many dealerships up and down Main Street, and that is true. We just need to know as commissioners, when is enough, or do we need some more? We also know as commissioners, or we should know, that there's a city ordinance in front of the city council now for used car lots in Jacksonville. So it's in the process of setting limits to the number of cars for a business and that. So that's going on. With all that said, and for the petitioners, this is what we as commissioners must know. How will this conditional use materially alter the neighborhood? Will it enhance the area or will it degrade the area? Will the water runoff be better or will it be worse? Will the neighborhood be improved or lessened? Will it include all 4 plats or it will be conditional on 1 plat? In other words, are you going for a conditional on the whole kit and caboodle, or are we just working off 1 plat at a time? We also need to know how is it that we can be assured there will be no further flooding in that particular area? That keeps coming back and it keeps coming up. So I'm asking you to answer that question for us. How can we be sure that there will be no further flooding? And can we be assured that there will be no used cars for sale that will be parked close to the residential area? So with all that said, we're not a legislative body. We are an administrative body. We will receive all facts by way of a public hearing. I'm about to open the public hearing in here in a little bit. When I open the public hearing and allow both sides that are willing to speak to the issue that I just laid out, that's what we'll be talking about, those pertinent facts that I was asking about, and any others that you think are necessary to be brought up. That's in consideration for allowing a C3 commercial use in the C2 area. I will close the public hearing for both sides, and our commissioners will discuss the agenda items amongst ourselves. We may ask questions of parties about this issue, at hand, but it's to be directed to the question that we asked and only asked, and then we're to discuss amongst ourselves. During the public testimony period, I want to make clear this time, under no circumstances disparage the motives of individuals. Under no circumstances impugn the character of individuals, and under no circumstances exhibit bias or prejudice about any immutable quality of any individuals here. During public testimony period, in every way, I encourage everybody to speak to the betterment of the city of Jacksonville, speak to the quality of life for the citizens of Jacksonville, be positive, be sincere, and honest, because we're all connected by long-term planning for the city of Jacksonville, and that's why the commissioners are here. So with that said, I'd like to open the public hearing portion of the conditional use request from a C3 to a C2 zone. At this time, is there anybody here to speak for the issue at hand?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Bob Price. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, are you speaking for the issue?
I just want to state some facts for the commission's consideration. Some of you will remember this. Is Jim Moore there?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Last year, when this first became before the commission, I provided some information to the commission at that point. And some of you may remember that working with the mayor's office, first with Mayor Fletcher and then with Mayor Johnson, but under Mayor Fletcher, working with 15 of our leading citizens in town, I wrote something for the city called the master plan for the city. And that included a lot of economic development activities, but one of the things it included was a definition of downtown renovation. That plan was adopted entirely by this planning commission in 2017 and again by the city council in 2017. It does not state specifically no used car lots, but it states specifically that the goal of the downtown area is to modernize the Main Street area with the types of businesses that are not defined necessarily as used car lots. And so with the type of businesses, boutiques, and other businesses along Main Street, cleaning up Main Street, beautification of Main Street, and that plan was presented by me to the Planning Commission with a PowerPoint presentation, adopted 100% by the commissioners of the Planning Commission and 100% by the City Council in 2017 as well. I made those same statements last year when this issue first came up to the Planning Commission. And those are the statements I wanted to make tonight.
Okay, all right, duly noted. All right, is there anybody here that wants to speak for the conditional use permit? You can just go ahead and state your name and,
Adam Childers.
okay.
We actually need you at the mic, please. This is the mic? Or the one in the middle?
We can, I don't think this one's on. I can turn it on.
Well, does this one work?
Yep,
That one's fine.
Yep, okay.
There you go.
Yes, this one. Or that one.
Whichever
Either one?
one.
Okay, I'll just state it. Adam Childers for the petitioner. I guess good evening to everybody back again. I'm not going to try to take up too much of everybody's time since we all know what we're here for and previously been here for. We're just at this point asking for the conditional use and it being for, at this point in time, for all four plats. Part of their, I know there's discussion on the flooding and, or flooding or some of the water runoff. From what I can tell from the lady that was here in the neighborhood last time, I looked at where she was located, and she was located 0.2 of a mile down from the 1106 West Main. And some of the, I guess, issues in terms of the flooding, at least to my knowledge, and this is, was that it looked like there may be a city issue in terms of the drainage and runoff. I can tell you that we're completely open to doing whatever we can, possibly, whether this helps or not, whatever we can do to limit or to mitigate any type of runoff or drainage. That's not what the Garza family's here for. They're not here to try to cause damage to anybody else, cause anybody else problems or anything like that. As I stated previously last time, they're just members of the community that want to do business in Jacksonville, want to employ people in Jacksonville. and that's what they want. In terms of conditional use, basically we're asking for conditional use of just a period of 5 years. That's going to be the commercial lease agreement that's going to be between Mr. Garza as the owner of the actual property, and then his daughter, Miss Brittany Garza. That's what we're asking for this time, and then we're basically saying that we're willing to come back in front of the commission 5 years from now, and if everything's according to plan, grant another 5-year lease, or for 5-year conditional use. That's what we're asking for. So we're hoping that would at least, mitigate any worries that you would have that there's some indefinite period of time. And so that's what we're asking for. That can even, we're asking for 5 right now. We're willing to go, I guess, 3 years. We're willing to come back in front of the commission so that there's not any issues in terms of what you think, in terms of, I guess, the overall aesthetics of the area. We're basically here, like I said previously, the last meeting, we're just here to try to run a family business. Mr. Garza has invested his entire savings into that piece of property. I've been up there. I've seen it. He's wanting to let his daughter run everything. But that's his life savings is gone into that piece of property, 1106 West Main. There's not, we don't think, again, I wish we could have further input, but we're essentially open to any possible ideas. We're just asking for conditional use. I think by the fact that we've been here, this is the 3rd time, would show you the desire and the dedication that the Garza family has into running this business and into running it, proper way with the city. And obviously we want the city support and the neighborhood support, and anybody else, they wouldn't be here if they didn't. They would have, closed up shop a year ago. But they're back again. This has been over a year since they purchased the property. We're just asking that y'all grant us conditional use, and we'll take any further questions.
Okay, anybody else want to speak to the conditional use? Okay, this is public testimony time. All right, anybody want to speak against the conditional use at this particular time? Go ahead, state your name. Oh, we know who you are.
Billy Hall. Let me say that I feel for the Garzas. I hate that they've gotten themselves into this predicament. And we're kind of all in this predicament. I don't think there's a person in this room that's not for the betterment of Jacksonville and for business in Jacksonville. I wish that we could arrive at some kind of an understanding to make everyone happy. It's not fair to them. They've invested money. But kind of like when I was a teenager, we hung out at the dairy bar. And everything would go good till somebody come in there and they'd throw their beer bottles out or they'd squall their tires, and then we all suffered. And I feel like the Garzas are kind of suffering from some of the used car lots. Now, not all of them, but there's so many of them. And some of them, the pictures y'all showed last time, you know what I'm talking about. They're an eyesore. And everyone that I talk to, that's talked to me about the car lot on Main Street, that's what they're scared of. They're afraid of that. We don't need another black eye on Main Street. And I think that's the whole deal. We're all for Jacksonville. We're all for anybody that'll work and make a living, but here and help our city. But we just don't need any more black eyes or anything that's gonna be detrimental to our city.
All right. Okay. Is there anybody else want to speak against the conditional use? Or anybody else want to have any input at all while the public hearing is open?
Can we respond?
No, you speak either to the issue or against the issue, but not to Mr. Ivy.
But can we respond to the comments made?
Yes, you can speak to the comments, yeah, okay. You come on up and give your name. Just speak to the issues now.
My name is Brittany Garza, and I just wanted to answer to that. He said that he doesn't want a detriment to the city of Jacksonville, and I don't want that either. So you've never seen a business run by me, and all I'm asking for is for a shot here. You know, my dad, he's moved to Texas a couple months back, so he's literally just drove over here for this. It's going to be run by me. There's not been a business in town run by me, so yeah, I'm just asking for a shot. You know, I'll make sure that it's not an eyesore, and yeah, we're here to, you know, compromise and just let us know what you think is necessary in order to make this happen. This is our third time here, so yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay, is there anybody else to speak to the issue or against the issue? All right, at this time I'll close the public hearing. And commissioners, is there any thoughts or comments or ideas?
Mr. Chairman, we're assuming that Dr. Price is, with his comments, what he's saying basically is that they presented something to the planning commission 2 years ago.
Right.
And then reconfirmed it last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then brought it before city council 2 years ago. And they all adapted that process. So I think what Dr. Price is saying is that part of their long-term goals, their beautification project, however we want to phrase it, is that they are against car lots in the area. So for us to go in there, if we go against that, then we're basically going against the planning commission from 2 years ago and also against city council's wishes. Is that correct?
So far, from what I can understand, Mr. Price said is not that we shouldn't do it. He just says that it's not conducive to revitalization of downtown. And that's what he had in the minutes last time that I put in, the minutes when I heard him talk the first time. So you're right. He can chime in right now. Mr. Price, am I right? You're saying that, not saying that we can't do it, you're just saying that it's not conducive to the downtown revitalization project that we signed on to in 2016. 2017.
That's correct. I think it comes down to this statement that this commission endorsed the master plan.
Mm-hmm.
The city council endorsed the plan, and a business like this, and I hate to speak against businesses because I've worked hard for economic development for the city, but a plan like this is inconsistent with the goals of the master plan for downtown. That's what it comes down to. And inconsistent with the goals, and the commission endorsed those goals 100%. So Mr. Moore is correct. If the commission votes for this, you're voting against what you did a few years ago in endorsing the master plan for downtown.
All right, and with that said, what I am the chairman, as the chairman, am kind of concerned about, because I know that there are 4 lots there. The lot that we initially started talking about, or the building that we're looking at, is on one plat. And so it was noted when the lawyer came up and talked during the public commission time that they're asking for C3 on all of the plats. What that would essentially be doing is it would be taking a C2 and turning it into a C3 all the way from the C2 areas all the way to residential. As a commissioner, that's extremely troubling, because we're not only spot zoning, but we're major spot zoning. We've actually expanded C3 to where it used to be a building, but now it's a whole strip. That's troubling. You're right, Commissioner Twitty, that Robert Price is right about the commission doing this. I'm still have been looking for reasons of why we should go that direction. Again, commissioners, do you have any other thoughts or comments at this particular time? Or questions? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, Mark, I do.
All right, go ahead, William.
Yeah, the conditional use, is it just the property or the building in the front, or the conditional use is what's deeded to the Garzas?
The conditional use will be for whatever properties we set it on. And that's one thing I have to ask our city attorney, is about time limits. When you do conditional uses and you have time limits like years on that, that can become a problem, can it? Because we would be asking for kind of a subscription type thing where we're laying people out. So that's not even doable, is it, from a commissioner standpoint, to put time limits on a conditional use? Because the land is going to be developed, and then 5 years later, if it's mishandled, it's still going to be marred. So go ahead.
To answer your question, Mark, I believe we can put conditions on this, but it would be problematic, as you're pointing out.
Okay, all right. So I would just hesitate to go that way myself. I mean, if you guys want to do that, you can. I just want to throw that out there.
Mark?
Yeah.
Could I say something?
Yeah.
Jump in here on this. I've got some other things later, but
Right.
my understanding of the conditional use and having several years' experience on the planning commission, the conditional use actually, from what I understand, goes against the owner of the property. Is that right? Do you understand that? How about our attorney with Stephanie? Isn't that right, Stephanie?
Yes.
The conditional use goes against the owner of the property.
Oh, yeah, you mean.
Not the
tied
business.
Tied to the owner. Yeah, yeah.
In other words, the owner of the property has to ask for the conditional use.
Okay. So you're saying that Ms. Garza should be the one asking for this, or you're saying
No,
that?
whoever owns the property, because I understand that there's a mortgage on it.
But Rodolfo Garza, isn't he the owner of the property?
I think Mr. Moore is saying that maybe if there's a loan on it, or if there's not, is it purchased outright?
It's not purchased outright.
Okay. I think Jim Moore is saying that, if it's.
Whoever
if
owns
there's a
the
loan through
mortgage,
bank,
whoever
if
owns
the
the
bank's got the
mortgage.
mortgage.
I don't know, Stephanie, our city attorney,
Well, would this not be then, it would be just like we did with the rezone that we just had with Aaron. That was kind of a contingency, getting it from a C back to a R, with contingent upon that property that they have the house on, right? Well, that's just a rezone, I'm sorry, you're talking about conditional.
yeah,
My
I'm
bad,
talking about
I'm sorry.
conditional use only.
Right, my bad, okay.
According to my knowledge on conditional use over the last few years on the planning commission, conditional use goes against, for example, we did one here in Jacksonville, in an area where there was a garage, cars and stuff. And we gave the owner the conditional use. So if the people who are in there and they decide they don't want to conduct their business there anymore, that conditional use stays with the property, and whoever comes in and does it afterwards can use it. Now, that's my understanding.
All right. Well, Stephanie, did you hear what Commissioner Moore was talking about?
A conditional use.
You're muted. You're still muted.
I think she's muted, isn't she?
You're still muted, Stephanie. There you
Sorry, I was trying to multitask and pull up the ordinance as Mr. Moore was talking. So if I understood what he was saying correctly, he's saying it runs with the owner, not the business.
go. Right.
Yes.
Right. And from my understanding, that is correct. I know before we've had petitioners come as a representative of the owner, but that's historically what we've done. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes. You're right.
All right. So then it would be okay for Ms. Garza to ask for the conditional use, being as she is the, going to be the owner of the business, and she is the daughter of the person who purchased it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, because he owns it, it's his daughter.
And she stated already that she's going to be taking it over and running it.
But according to the records, B&C Rental still own the property. It's mortgaged.
No.
But if it's in the process, according, all right, Stephanie, you'll have to help me with this one. If it's in the process of being sold and there's a loan out and already a real estate deal done, effectively, they're the owners of the property, right? They're still paying on it, but they own the property.
Right.
Okay, is that?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get some stuff clarified.
No,
Conditional use.
by all means, that's good. I'm stretching my head on that one. So,
Well, the mortgage holder, what you're saying, Jim, would not have control over the property once they approve a mortgage to the people who are making the payments on it.
Right.
Now, if they default on the payments, or there's anything that comes up, then they would have a legal aspect to the property.
and if they defaulted, it fell back to B and C, then they would lose the conditional use
They
anyway.
would lose the conditional.
I just want that explained, because conditional use is one of the biggest problems we have here in Jacksonville.
Yep, yeah.
I mean, when we give conditional uses, history-wise, the conditional use has always been violated.
Right.
I'm not saying they would. I know Ms. Garza, she sat on the used car lot committee with me and a couple others, Susan and some others. I'm not saying they would. I'm not disparaging them. I'm just saying that conditional use has a lot of meanings to it.
Any other questions or comments from the commissioners?
I would like to say something else though right now.
Okay.
Looking at the diagrams that you presented before, I like the idea of phase two, especially the way the back part is really a problem with the flooding, and also there's a major gas line back there that has electrical hooked up to it. That could be a major problem. And really, you're talking about putting conditions on this. The grass area could not be used as a car lot or parking cars, because that's prohibited in our ordinance, I believe. Our city attorney's got the ordinance in front of her. But I like phase two. It gives you a little bit in the back there for some cars to sell, and the front, and then you got your service area where you can work on your car. And then on the side between you and Mr. Hall here, there would be no problem there, according to what I understand. And so that's what I like, phase two.
Okay, then let me ask the petitioners to answer this question, because if that's the case with your phase two, we would have to necessarily break up lots 8, 9, 10, and 11 and talk about just having C3 in a certain area that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that has already been stated by the petitioner that they weren't really conducive to heading that direction. So let me ask the petitioner now, are you willing to get conditional use, have a conditional use for C3 in just a limited area? Or are you still wanting all 4 lots C3?
Limited area. In a limited area, Chairman. We're open to very, we're willing to do whatever the commission thinks necessary also, but yes, in a limited area, absolutely.
Okay, with that said, do you happen to know which lot is the one by Main Street? Is that plot 11 or is that plot 8?
I want to say, now I'm not 1,000% positive, I want to say it's 8 and 9 that
It's-
occupy the front.
It's 8 and 9.
Yeah, I want to
Okay.
say it's 8 and 9, and he has the plan. What he's referring to is the parking that I had planned. I planned to expand the parking lot, and it was both the front and the back. I'm just going to step up here.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I don't speak very loud. So the front, the buildings, there's 4 lots. We purchased the property, and there's 4 lots. the building, it sits on the first 2 lots. But in phase 2, what he's referring to is there's a grass area, and that's between Mr. Hall's property and mine. So what he's saying is, correct me if I'm wrong, is that that would be less problematic because it wouldn't back up into the residential.
Right.
So that's what I'm getting.
Well, the other thing, if I can say,
Go ahead.
the other thing too, Ms. Garza, is there's a lot that has to be done to those back lots to prevent erosion, to prevent flooding, because it's all, the topography is like going downhill and to the right. It's very low back there, and it'd be very expensive to do something right now to it. And I think this would get you started good.
Okay.
I mean, it's a little more space than what you have right now.
Yeah.
And so that's what I like is phase 2.
Okay, all right, duly noted. There, and that's probably, that second spot, that is where the greatest fall happens.
Yes.
On that piece of property, so that any type of improvement along that line will increase water flow for sure. Are you willing to take this under advisement, let us table it, and then you come back after you consult with a flood engineer to give us an idea of what proposal you could bring us as to how to mitigate the flooding? If you just stayed with those front 2 lots, is that something that you would be willing to do, or do you want us to continue to discuss this?
I mean, I would like for us to get this taken care of. It's been a year. We're not making any money back on it, and I'd like to at least have my dad make, tax season is coming up, you know, cars, we do a lot of sales during tax season.
Understand.
So this is a prime time for us. This is where we make the majority of the money for the rest of the year, because people don't buy cars in September, October, November, December. They don't sell as much. I already had, last time that I came, the very first meeting, and that's the plan that you're referring to, I met with, I believe it was, I don't remember the company's name off the top of my head, but it might be in that plan. They gave me a $100,000 estimate to do all of the asphalt on the property.
Yes.
And it's not just anyone. The company that I was going with was someone that did all of the streets for, I believe it was the city of Batesville, if I'm not mistaken. So I make sure that I got the best of the best. And I told them I want to make sure that the drainage is taken care of, you know, that I don't want any water flowing to anyone else. If we have to put a drain around it, whatever we have to do. So if I'm going to asphalt, which I'm not planning to anytime soon, because we've already put so much money into the property that we just don't have the capacity to even asphalt probably that side right now. That's probably it'd be in the future. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be done right if it is done.
All right, but what's done, okay, well, go ahead, Commissioner Brown. Go ahead.
My question is strictly for clarification, because I remember when you came in last year, I wasn't, and I thought that your request was for all of the lots, lot 8, 9, and then the 2 lots
10, 11.
in the back, 10 and 11, that are actually, I guess, bordering residential.
That was one of her phases, or one of her proposals, was eventually it was going to be asphalt all the way to the residential section. Yeah, that was her little packet that she gave the first time.
Okay.
That's correct.
So now, do I understand that you would be okay with just doing lot 8, 9?
Yes.
That's actually on Main Street, correct?
Yes. So that was Commissioner
Phase
Moore
2.
was saying.
Phase
That
2.
phase 2 includes, it's just this side land that is between Mr. Hall's property and mine. So it wouldn't affect the residential because it's not backed up into the residential. Yeah.
I think it's basically a Plan B, Dan.
Plan B, yeah.
Okay,
Alternative plan.
and one thing to make sure too, you understand when you're telling us as planners that you're wanting to make asphalt, then you're telling us as planners that you're going to increase the runoff. And what you're also telling us is that's the steepest part of the hill, that you said that they were going to mitigate it. Once it starts flowing like that, you don't just mitigate it. it takes quite a bit to stop the water. And so I would, just talk to the commissioners and say, actually, Commissioner Moore, you know about it. The runoff was handled on the high school property, at both ends of the football field, with an underground system that kept all the water retained and slowed it down before it let it loose. The reason I'm saying this is because what happens is we have people that talk about catchment systems above ground, and I don't want the city to have to be in charge of taking care, because it's a higher maintenance when you have above ground retention water systems. And if the business, God forbid, goes out, or if they don't take care of it, the city has to take care of it. We could ask Jimmy about that, the city doesn't need any more grass to mow to take care of. So if we do require some type of system, I would recommend that we make sure that the city engineers get together with the engineer of the petitioners, and they come up with a satisfactory underground system that will not put water on the residents that were here last time we had the marathon meeting. So just keep that in your mind, and as we're talking about these contingencies, just make sure that something like that has to be in there, because we have to take care of the citizens. Thank you very much for making the move to not wanting all or nothing type situation. But as we move that direction, we need to move in a prudent manner and make sure that any improvements on the property that is going to necessarily speed up surface water runoff is caught or taken care of in the motion or the conditional use motion, should we make one. Are there any other questions or?
Another question.
Yes.
Now, we're still talking about just lots 8 and 9, is that correct?
Lots 8 and 9.
For use for the cars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would there be additional asphalting done or necessary to do lot 8, 9?
I want to say, I'm trying to think right now how the lots are laid out. I believe the front 2 lots is where the building sits. I believe that's right. So right now the front already has asphalt on it. Why would I, put
Yeah,
more asphalt?
there's parking in front of the building now.
Yes.
Up against the face of Main Street.
Right.
Yes.
So 8 and 9 are the ones that actually front Main Street.
Yes.
10 and 11 are sliced sideways down the hill. So 10 would be the one with the biggest slope, and 11 would be the one next to the residential area.
Yes, and if I may propose something,
Mhm.
I'm just thinking right now that if we do the back 2 lots, maybe we can get the conditional use done just on the first 2, and then in the future, if I want to asphalt or something, I can meet with the city or something in the back, and then come back and request the back 2 lots. And meet with an engineer of the city, and have my engineer meet with their engineer, come up with that plan, and then present it here for the back 2 lots.
Ms. Garza, I think that would work well for everybody,
Okay.
because what you're doing is, and then you're giving us, we agree that there is, quote, a C3 building there, and there's a possibility to use C3 there. What we can do is go that direction because it's there to make C3. That would be up to the commissioners for sure. Thank you for moving that direction. As far as expanding, we would talk about that with the engineers too. So next time that you come back, you have a clear picture of what you need to bring us, right? And what you need to do.
Yes, so if I ever want to asphalt the back 2 lots, then make sure I meet with the city engineers, and have them meet with my engineer. But as I said, right now times are tough, and that's a lot of money. So, not planning on doing that anytime soon, but if that business goes good a couple of years down the road, maybe we will do that. Right now I'm just trying to get my feet wet, trying to get started.
And Now, I want you to hear me correctly, though. What we're talking about was not just the fact that you want to asphalt to talk to the city engineer. We're talking about a water retention system.
Yes,
Under the
yes,
asphalt.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
All right,
yes. So
just as long as we're
drainage.
clear along that line. Our commissioners, that,
Yeah. Let me say something about the water situation. When we were building the high school over here, the football stadium, we had to run underneath the ground, and then at the top, we had louvered access for the water to go through and go underneath instead of pooling or running off to the neighborhood over there. We're having to do the same thing over at the middle school because of the topography over there. It was like it is over here. And so right now we have a retention pond because when it rains, we need to keep all the water in the retention pond, but that's all going to be taken care of because they've installed an underground type system, which is what's going to happen over there.
Okay,
Now, I'm not an engineer, but I've seen this
Yeah.
with our high school and the middle school I'm on the school board, so we had to approve the plans for that.
Right.
In order to make sure we didn't have a pond sitting down there at the football field.
okay.
So,
I want to make sure, so we were talking about the front 2 lots and phase 2 of my plan. I don't know if everyone has
I
that.
gave them a copy.
Okay,
Yeah, let me, everybody.
Phase 2 actually was actually touching lot number 10, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we were just talking about lots 8 and 9.
okay.
And you leaving 10 and 11 for later use. That's what I understood.
Yes, so the back 2 lots.
Yeah,
But
those stay green areas.
Okay, but the lot beside mine, I can use that.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
right, the frontage lots. Uh-huh.
yes, and
And this is,
I don't remember off the top of my head, but the green area between Mr. Hall's property and mine,
right.
that's 8 and 9 on there. I want to make sure because I haven't looked at this in a year.
Yeah.
Yes, so perfect, yes. So this is, what I'm talking about right here, because this is non-existent right now.
Mhm.
So,
That's the side of the building.
that's a
That's the
side.
side,
All right,
Yes.
on the side of the building, is there green space?
Yes, but it's not touching residential. It's just the side. So-
Okay, then I would defer to our city engineer to give us clarification on that, if that would become problematic with water.
This is the front and that's the side. This is the back area how it is right now.
This is all asphalted correctly now?
Yes,
No.
but this area right, I'm sorry, I'm looking at this backwards.
Yes.
This is the side area right here.
There's no asphalt here though, is there?
No, but there's asphalt here and there's green area all back here as a resident.
There is asphalt just behind the building, about
Yes.
8 foot, probably 10 foot.
That would include the addition of asphalt.
I would say that we could not allow any more impervious surfaces, asphalt, to be applied until there was a drainage study done and adequate drainage preparation for that, for any additional
Yeah,
impervious.
I agree with that. I didn't know there was that, because already we do have drainage problems, so, yeah, we don't need to exacerbate that anymore, so.
No more about drainage.
So whenever I want to asphalt, come back.
Right,
Yes.
with the plan, with the,
Yeah,
with,
you can-
Yes.
You can do that with our house, if y'all approve lots 8 and 9, before we allow you to do any surface, it has to be approved by the engineering department.
okay,
And
Yeah,
it has
but
to
you'd have to
include
have
the
a
drainage.
building permit anyways.
right.
Ma'am,
Wouldn't you have to have a building permit?
yes,
Uh,
well,
and-
not necessarily, but we would stop any
I would have to come, yeah,
improvements that have to be approved by our office.
I would, yeah.
And I want to contingent
Commercial
Right.
on no
improvements.
more impervious surfaces put in without a drainage plan.
Right.
Approved by our department.
Even up to and including gravel.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, any questions?
I just want to make sure that we also, in that study, Jimmy, that Entergy and Energy people are involved in this because of that major gas line back there or whatever it is. We don't need digging back there and blow something up.
Well, sure.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Jimmy, before you go, please, I'm sorry, I'm a little slow here. Now, the grassy area, that small portion of grass, you're gonna what are you going to do to that area?
So I wanted to asphalt that, just go ahead and get that approved, just in case we were able to get that done next year. But what they're saying is that we shouldn't asphalt at all until we meet with the engineers of the city and my engineers. So no asphalting until further notice.
And you're just gonna park, that would just strictly be for, pretty much for parking?
What's there
Additional
now?
cars right now?
Yeah, so it wouldn't worsen
No?
the situation.
No improvements
Yeah.
to the surface without a study, drainage plan.
Okay, but what about the,
Well, yeah, we'll make that, yeah, make sure that we make that clear.
what
Yeah.
does she need? I mean, that's where I'm a little bit confused.
Was that?
I'm still on the impression that you're gonna utilize that grassy area right now.
Oh, that can come in form of our conditional use. Whenever we do that, we can make sure that no green areas are encroached by the cars. Now, understand too, we have a car ordinance that the city has been working on. We're still working on it, I guess. I don't know, you were on the committee.
They're working real hard
I was
on
on that committee as well.
Okay, so that's gonna be part of the city ordinance for used cars anyway, but we could make anything like that, whenever we make a motion, those are contingencies you can put into the conditional use that's tied there. So just keep that in mind when we make the motion. All right, anybody else? Greg, William, have any comments or questions? All right, so everybody.
I'm good.
Oh, go ahead. Was that Greg?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. All right, so everybody, let me just reiterate this so that everybody's on the same page and make sure that I'm on the same page. Right now, we're only talking about lots 8 and 9, which are the lots that front Main Street of this property. Those are the only two that we're talking about giving a conditional use, C3 use, that's in the C2 area. We're also talking about if any improvements are made, or actually, we're doing it now, a motion to just grant those with no improvements at all made to the, with the grant, on the
I can
grounds.
paint, right? Okay.
Yes, just no,
On the surface,
you know,
yeah.
you can landscape, but we's talking about, you know,
The
not parking
surface.
cars and things like that.
or gravel.
No asphalt or gravel, yeah,
Okay, yeah.
being laid to it. Am I missing anything? Is there anything else? Okay, then I'd entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make the motion that we approve C3, C2 for Phase 2, which includes only lots 8 and 9.
Okay. Okay, and in the conditional use,
I need a second.
okay, let me see if you can get it right, the whole thing the first time. Do you want to add, before we second it, do you want to add that no
Yeah.
improvements?
No improvements to the back lots 10 and 11 without coming before the City Planning Commission again with appropriate documents for flood, water abatement, and so forth. And working with our city engineer.
Jim, if you don't mind, I can shorten that.
Thank you. Well, you forget, I used to be an Air Force recruiter, okay?
I need a second to that motion.
Okay, have a second?
I second.
All right, got a second, all right. Any further discussion?
Okay, we're going to just grant a conditional use for lots 8 and 9 for auto sales and repair. No asphalt improvements.
No improvement.
Without an approved drainage plan per our engineering department.
Everybody good with that?
And
Did everybody hear that?
what all did we include on the conditional use?
No asphalt or gravel improvements without a approved drainage plan through the city engineer's office.
And also, our city ordinance does prohibit parking on grass,
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, no parking on the grass.
and no cars parked on the,
Or on the easements.
right.
Right, okay, yeah. So, yeah, so we're clear on that too. No parking on the grass or even, okay,
Yes, sir, Chairman. I'd like to ask Dr. Price to get some input on what he thinks about this. Is that possible or no?
But right now, we're really clear that Mr. Price is not extremely happy with where we're at right now. I can honestly say that. And I believe he would say that. So we're, it's at this particular time where we as commissioners can go one way or the other. What I believe as the chairman, my job is to do is facilitate the best we can at the state we can.
Are we still putting on the 5-year limit for a review?
That's why I was fixing to ask.
The 5-year for a review?
5-year review.
I'll include that in my motion.
Thank you.
That's, okay, but let me, if you want to make that clear motion, Stephanie was not really happy with that. That can become problematic to the city for something like that.
With lesser time, or should we even not do it?
Not do.
Not do.
Okay.
Not do time.
Don't do
do it.
times can
Strike that
become
out of my
problematic.
motion.
Right.
Okay.
So, now, with all of this said, what we've done is come together with compromise. Now, what we as commissioners do or vote either for this or against it, and understand, like you said, Commissioner Twitty, you're very correct. This is against what the Planning Commission has decided in 2017 was the revitalizing district was about. That's still true, right?
Yes.
But we're doing what we're supposed to do as commissioners and come to the compromise. That's where everything's fair, okay? And so now we vote our conscience which way you want to go. But I want to thank you as commissioners for having good input and discussion.
Can I say one other thing
Right.
before we vote?
Right.
I would much rather see this phase 2 sitting there at an empty building that's been empty for umpteen years. The signs are still on there advertising the business that should have been removed by the previous people. And so right now, I understand the revitalization program. I think it's important, but we have a lot of work to do down there to do all that. So what is wrong with having a business there, getting it off where it is in a housing area over there, and putting it there at least under a conditional use?
And this is discussion time, so anybody have any rebuttal to that? Jeff?
Well, one thing I would say, this is a cautionary remark here, and you probably check this out, is that that building is close to that curve there on Main Street, to the east of you, I guess. And cars zip around there about 30, 35 miles an hour. So they're on the side of Hospital Street. It's kind of tricky there, because if you leave in the Military Museum area where the memorial is, the Veterans area, that's an offset. And so you can't drive straight across. You're like this.
Okay.
And so it's like a little offset. And you've got traffic coming there, and there's numerous times that I see people slamming their brakes on there just in normal everyday traffic. I'm a little bit concerned about having a car lot in that area because of that reason. I mean, you've got cars. I mean, it's really about 100 yards, maybe 100, 150 yards distance. And a car going 30, 35 miles an hour can cover that just in a matter of a couple of seconds. And you've got traffic that's trying to go across to get on the other side of Main Street through that like a roundabout, so to speak, that circle. So that's one thing I'm concerned about. I just wanted to mention that because of the traffic situation. And if you're gonna have people that are driving, so that's kind of a cautionary area there.
If I may answer to his
No,
comments.
not now. We're discussing amongst ourselves to make the vote. And to answer your question on the other side, yeah, true to have business, but then again, Dr. Price is right about what the revitalization is. So understand that we can agree to disagree along that lines. We're in the process of just now, just weighing it out, and we've got the motion on the floor. Do you want to read the motion again?
Commissioner Moore has moved, seconded by Commissioner Brown, to approve the conditional use for lots 8 and 9 for auto sales and repair. No asphalt or gravel improvements without an approved drainage plan with the city engineer's office. No parking on grass or easement. No parking cars on grass or easement.
Okay,
I have a question, Mark, real quick.
okay.
Now, you said repair vehicles. Does that mean just for her business? Because we need to make sure that it's just for her business and
Yes.
not somebody coming in there.
To the general public, in other words.
Right.
Yeah.
It's to her, for her business,
Mhm.
not the
Okay.
general public.
And not general public.
Yeah,
Auto
I'm not doing work
sales
for anyone else.
and-
No.
All right. Okay, so everybody, clear on the,
Sale repairs.
all right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed say no. Let's see, I got William and Greg, I haven't picked them up yet. William, Greg, all in favor say aye. Go. One, okay, any opposed? I think William's watching the football game. William?
No, I'm right here.
Yeah, okay, what's your vote, William?
Do I have to?
Yeah?
Or you can be opposed.
Yeah, he can abstain if he
Yeah, you
wants
can
to.
abstain.
Okay, mister, you can
I don't know
abstain.
why he would, he's got no conflict of interest.
Right. Okay, you wanna abstain, William?
Abstain, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so what's the tally?
The ayes have it.
Yeah, it looks like the ayes have it.
Okay,
I don't have any vote from, oh yeah, I don't know what Greg
Yeah.
Bowen is voting.
Which one is up?
Greg, did we hear from Greg?
Yeah, he said.
Greg said yes, he's an aye, yeah.
Oh, okay, oh yeah. With
Okay.
one abstention, yeah.
Okay, all right, so the ayes have it, so that you have, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, young lady. Good
All
luck.
right,
Good
so
luck to
we're
you.
gonna move on to request to approve plats. This will be a final plat. Aaron, I hope you're awake. It's the AHRJP Development petitioner, AHRJP Development, represented by Bond Engineering. And, Aaron, would you speak to, this final plat and exactly what we have going on here?
All right, this is can you hear me?
Yep,
Yeah.
Okay, this is a piece of property along TP White Drive. And it is basically a 3-lot subdivision on 3 lots space, TP White Drive. We do have to extend the water main across the property, which we've done for several of the properties up through there. And you'll see later on, we've got a couple of site plans to discuss, but it's just 3 lots, commercial lots, that face TP White Drive.
all right, Aaron, why are we talking about all of this before we do the rezone? In other words, why
Well-
do you get the rezone and then let's talk about this?
Well, whenever we started talking about it with the city, it kind of slipped through the cracks, and we all thought it was, I thought it was commercial. I thought commercial got rezoned all the way down to that part. And so when we were discussing with the city turn-in dates and everything, it just we never thought that we had to rezone this property. So, what we did was when we submitted everything to the city, and started filling out everything, that's when we realized on the plan that it was still zoned residential as opposed to commercial like everything else, up and down the freeway through there. That's actually the last piece of residential as you go north, and that's on the other side of the creek, and it kind of makes not a lot of sense why you have one little lone island of residential on the side of the creek along highway frontage.
No, I agree with that. I mean, it really.
Yeah, so that's why, we didn't do, we didn't do a preliminary plat either because we don't have any streets to build, we don't have any sewer to put in. It's not like a residential subdivision, this is just like the schools. Whenever we did the schools, we did 1-lot subdivisions and platted them as 1 lot. And we approved the final plat, we approved the site plan, and they're in the middle of building all those.
Well-
Commercial is just usually dealt a little bit different than residential, and so that's why we're going ahead and trying to get this. And we understand that the way that the final plat is written, it says it's zoned R1, and I have to be C2, or C4, I think that's
Yeah,
what we've
C4.
all finally determined it needs to be rezoned to.
Yeah. Well,
But it's,
Aaron, would it be beneficial, because water's not up on board, and they don't meet till January 27th, sewer's not on board, stormwater's not been played, there's a few contingencies. If we were to do this, there's a few contingencies we'd have to move with before the rezone. Wouldn't it be better for us to table this at this particular point in time, have you get all those ducks in a row, and then come back to us for the rezone during the public hearing time? We'll get that knocked out.
the only thing that would help with the final plat, I don't mind, I mean, I don't think it matters if we table the site plan and everything, and I talked to Melissa about this a little bit today.
Yeah.
I figure if we want to discuss it, we can go ahead and discuss some of the things. If y'all want to get on to watching football, like I'm watching football and talking, we can
Yeah.
end it now.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
That's a great idea.
I decided to poke the bear.
We need him here at the next meeting
Yeah.
in person.
That's a great idea.
If I got my son's test results back today, I would have been there, but we didn't get the results back today, so I'm stuck in the house.
Well, but we do have a lot of things that are still out there. Like I said, sewer's not on board, water's not on board. We don't have the stormwater as-builds. We don't have a retention design. We don't have an erosion control plan. We don't have, and like I said, the big thing is not rezone.
There are, on a final plat, you have all those things on a site plan. On a final plat, typically all you have are, the right-of-way dedication for the streets, and to make sure that the streets are built to your standards. Well, there are no streets to build. Making sure that the water has been accepted by the city.
Right.
By the water department. Well, we do have to put in the water, but it's just like the high school and the middle school. We had to put all that in too. But
And they
we
won't meet till the
accepted
27th.
the plat on the front end. And the only reason I would say that we need to do the plat now, or we would like to go ahead and do the plat, is because we're talking about different people, and this will at least give them a 30-day advance on trying to set up their finances. Even though we can't file it, we can't do anything until we get it rezoned. This will at least give the bank the assurance that it's going to happen, and they can start getting ready and have all the paperwork ready on the
why
lot
didn't you,
that they're going to be.
Aaron, why didn't you bring it to us as a preliminary plat?
Because there's no roads. A preliminary plat, just like, I don't know. We do a preliminary plat when you have streets to build that the city's going to take over. When you have storm drainage to build that the city's going to take over. When you have sewer to build that the city's going to take over. The only thing that we're having to build that the city will take over is the water.
Right.
So
they're not there yet.
The sewer, there is no sewer. So we're having to do septic or get creative with something else with the sewer. So there's no sewer out there. So there is no sewer for the city to take over. There is no streets for the city to take over. There is no storm drainage for the city to take over. The only thing will be the water line that we have to. And we don't even have to for our development, but the Jacksonville Water Department has made everybody along there extend that water main across the front of the property when we come in for a final plat. So we're having to do the same thing. As we come in for this final plat, they are wanting the water main put all the way across the front of the property.
Okay. All right. I've actually talked too much. Commissioners, you have any thoughts or comments on this?
No. So they're gonna take residential, huh? No comment? I do. They're gonna take residential lots, what Eric's saying, and they're gonna get city water, they're gonna have 3 commercial buildings there.
Yep.
To bring us revenue, commercial and taxes and money that comes into the city of Jacksonville.
Yep.
What do you think, a no-brainer?
Thinking it's a no-brainer, because they're still gonna have to come back in front of us to
Yep.
get it approved.
Yep.
But we want businesses, that's what we just did. I mean, this is a no-brainer. If they're going from residential, I'd much rather have commercial. There's a lot more regulations to do commercial. You give them city water, and it's a lot more income for the city, and we need income in businesses.
I'll accept that as a motion.
Make a motion that we accept it, and then bring back the final product, and they get everything approved.
I'll second the motion.
All right, got a motion accepted for a final plat. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? I know everybody wants to go to a football game. All right, so now we've got building. That was very good, Aaron, to drop that game in on, by the way. Now, we have site plan, under building permits, we got site plan lot 1, AHRJP Development, petitioner AHRJP Development represented Bond Engineering with site plan included. There are some contingencies on lot 1 and lot 2 that I need to read that the engineers have. And one is to show proposed lighting. 2 is provide detail on concrete swales crossing sidewalk on lot 1. Add general note indicating ADA compliance. ADH approval will be required on all sewer plumbing prior to issuance of building permit. And then Jacksonville Waterworks will need to approve proposed water line existing under the parking lot. And I know, Aaron, you know all these things because you've been talking with Melissa. So real quick before the commissioners speak up, is there anything else, Jimmy, with this? Or did I read them all in? The contingencies in?
Not to our knowledge right now, that's what you just previously stated.
Right.
We're good. You know, we wouldn't issue a permit
Right.
without those contingencies all being met.
Okay, all right. So commissioners, have any thoughts, comments, ideas on this particular section? On the site, we'll have to take them individually. So let's do site plan lot 1. You have entertain a motion?
What were the conditions? I was busy looking.
Okay, conditions would just show proposed lighting. Number 2 is provide detail on concrete swales crossing the sidewalk on lot 1. Number 3 would add general note indicating ADA compliance. That's Arkansas Disability Act. Then ADH approval will be required on all sewer plumbing prior to issuance of building permit, which is true. And then Waterworks will need to approve the water line. So those are just basic contingencies.
Make a motion to accept.
With those
Under those
contingencies.
conditions.
All right, have a second? Okay, motion to second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Greg's right on that one. Okay, now, see, this will be, entertain a motion for site plan lot 2, which has the same contingencies minus the detail on concrete swales across the sidewalk. Okay? Entertain a motion?
Motion to accept.
Motion and second to accept. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None. All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Don't move.
All right, we'll get to halftime.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Mark, I will thank you for all the information you gave.